Paradoxes are fun to think about. The most famous one is usually called the grandfather paradox. I have a new, simpler version I call the mad scientist paradox. I don't like the way scientists in movies are often described as mad, but in this case, it's true. This chap is determined to create a paradox, even if it costs him his life. Imagine somehow he's built a wormhole, a time tunnel that stretches just 1 minute into the past. It may not sound like much, but even 1 minute of time travel can cause real trouble. Through the wormhole, the scientist can see himself as he was 1 minute ago. But what if our scientist uses the wormhole to shoot his earlier self? He's now dead, killed before he'd even finished assembling the pistol. So, who fired the shot? It's a paradox. It just doesn't make sense. It's the sort of situation that gives cosmologists nightmares. This kind of time machine would violate a fundamental rule that governs the entire universe. That causes happen before effects, and never the other way around. I believe things can't make themselves impossible. If they could, then there'd be nothing to stop the whole universe from descending into chaos. So, I think something will always happen that prevents the paradox. Somehow there must be a reason why our scientist will never find himself in a situation where he could shoot himself. And in this case, I'm sorry to say, the wormhole itself is the problem. In the end, I think a wormhole like this one can't exist. And the reason for that is feedback. If you've ever been to a rock gig, you'll probably recognize this screeching noise. It's feedback. What causes it is simple. Sound enters the microphone. It's transmitted along the wires, made louder by the amplifier, and comes out at the speakers. But if too much of the sound from the speakers goes back into the mic, it goes round and round in a loop, getting louder each time. If no one stops it, feedback can destroy the sound system. I think the same thing will happen with a wormhole, only with radiation instead of sound. As soon as the wormhole expands, natural radiation will enter it and end up in a loop. The feedback will become so strong it destroys the wormhole. So, although tiny wormholes do exist, and it may be possible to inflate one someday, it won't last long enough to be of use as a time machine. That's the real reason no one came to the party. In fact, I believe any kind of time travel to the past, through wormholes or any other method, is probably impossible. Otherwise, paradoxes would occur. So, sadly,
it looks like time travel to the past is never going to happen. A disappointment for dinosaur hunters and a relief for historians. But the story's not over yet. This doesn't make all time travel impossible. I do believe in time travel. Time travel to the future.